Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to build AI agents on WhatsApp that can do personalized outreach, respond to customers, use databases, can notify humans to jump in, and can understand voice, image, and even documents. Now, I really wanted to make this video because I think WhatsApp agents are a huge opportunity in the AI space right now. There are now over 50 million businesses using WhatsApp to interact with their customers and almost 3 billion users. And the large majority of these businesses are still using humans to attend clients on WhatsApp. Meanwhile, the large majority of these interactions can be automated with AI. In my agency, we've gotten in dozens of requests for these types of agents and have delivered several of them by now. And you've probably heard of these softwares like Agentive, Chatbase, and ManyChat, who make it really easy to deploy your AI agents on WhatsApp. And although I really like what these guys are doing, the biggest issue, at least for me, has been that most of these softwares still lack vital features to actually make them useful for many business use cases. Like, for example, human handoff, doing outbound messaging. Some don't have chat management or chat history. Some don't have the ability to integrate tools to, for example, save data to a CRM. And they don't process voice, image, and documents yet. So in this video, I'm going to break down my setup that covers all of these business needs, and I'll show you a demo and a full step-by-step breakdown of a WhatsApp agent, and I'll also show you an option of how you can set a system like this up even without the official WhatsApp Business API. If you don't know me yet, I'm Ben. I've been implementing AI agents and AI automations into businesses for over a year now. I also run a community with over 4,000 members. And if you're a business looking to adopt AI or solutions like this into your business, you can also book us in for a free call in the description below. So before showing you a demo and a breakdown of my setup, I want to go over very quickly the opportunity, because I really believe the opportunity is huge. And second, I want to give you an idea of the softwares that are out there to build WhatsApp AI agents and give you an overview of the advantages and disadvantages of each one, and give you my recommendations for each specific use case. So you can decide better what the best tech stack might be for your specific use case or for your client's use case. So let me start with the opportunity. So of course, the WhatsApp market is huge. As I said, 50 million businesses now use WhatsApp, and of course, there are 3 billion users. And it's still growing exponentially, especially in the WhatsApp business part. More and more businesses are adopting WhatsApp to interact with their customers. And honestly, it's no surprise because the engagement metrics on WhatsApp versus traditional communication channels are just ridiculously better. Here is an example, right? WhatsApp has 98% open rates versus 21% with email, right? WhatsApp messages are read on average within 15 minutes. WhatsApp has 60% click-through rates on links versus 3% with email, and 68% of customers or users say WhatsApp is the easiest way of contacting a business. Now, of course, this all depends on the continent, right? In the US, WhatsApp is not adopted yet by the masses, so of course that's not a good market for it. But Europe, South America, and Asia are huge potential markets for this. And really, AI agents, AI WhatsApp agents are a no-brainer for these types of businesses because, of course, with AI agents instead of humans, we can have 24/7 availability. We have faster or immediate response times, therefore an improved customer support. We can handle way more, or customers can handle way more inquiries. They have a reduction in costs, and they can redeploy the staff they used to engage with customers, to interact with customers for more strategic tasks. So why do I think there's such an opportunity for AI agencies or AI freelancers to build this for companies? It's because in the end, it's still quite a complex setup for companies themselves to set up. And that's also always where there's an opportunity for agencies or freelancers to jump into. So setting up WhatsApp agents is technically challenging, right? Usually they require customized solutions, right? We need to actually set up and integrate it with their specific CRMs or customer management tools. We need to import knowledge bases, and this requires AI expertise, right? AI expertise really is necessary to make them work well enough to really reliably deploy them inside of a business. So that's the opportunity for agencies. Now, what are the most common use cases? Now, of course, one of the main one is customer service, right? Now, second one is inbound sales and appointment setting, which is very commonly used with WhatsApp too. Many companies actually run Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and the call to action is directly to a WhatsApp chat. So this is a very common use case too. Then Then we have marketing and lead gen. Now, this is actually a really good use case for WhatsApp too, because of the high open rates and click-through rates. This can be very powerful for businesses, but has to be done right? Because of course, Meta has some guardrails in place to avoid spamming people over WhatsApp, right? So you need to be strategic here. In the end, it's very similar to outbound email. We don't want to be spamming people with irrelevant messages, right? But this is a very strong use case for WhatsApp agents if it's done right. And I'm going to show you some examples later too. Then we have notifications, which is another big one for companies, right? So for example, you can imagine order notifications, right? Order status updates, payment confirmations, things like that. Very useful to do that through WhatsApp, again, because of the high open rates and click-through rates, right? And lastly, we have feedback and survey collection. Now, what are the most common niches that WhatsApp Business is used for? A wide variety of industries, but the most common ones are retail and e-commerce, of course, online stores and local shops. Local services rely a lot on WhatsApp too, right? Salons, gyms, repair shops, home services, etc. Then we have hospitality and travel, like hotels, restaurants, and tour operators. Education and training, schools, universities, and online courses. Real estate and property management, and professional services like law firms and accountants. So many types of businesses using WhatsApp. If you live in a country where WhatsApp's used a lot, you will know, right? I live in Brazil and WhatsApp's used for everything. Now, what are some of the key requirements for businesses? In my experience, these are really important from what I've seen to actually make them useful inside of businesses. And the first and the big one is human handoff. Now, most of the time, we can't actually completely automate this in the background yet. We at least want to have the ability to jump in as a human. For example, when our AI doesn't have an answer stored in its knowledge base, which happens when a customer is ready to book, we want to actually jump in and close them ourselves. When a customer asks for a phone call, when there's a problem that's not exactly accounted for inside of the prompt or inside of the knowledge base, there are many scenarios where we still want to sort of be there as a human. Now, the second big one is outbound messaging and notifications. Now, what do I mean with outbound messaging? It basically means that the company is able to do active outreach to the customer instead of just being able to respond incoming chats. Now, why is that important? Because for many use cases, the company actually needs to be the first to outreach to the customer. For example, with these notifications like payment confirmations, but also for sales related tasks like someone filled out a lead form on our website, the company needs to reach out to the customer first over WhatsApp, right? And also, of course, for these more marketing and sales related use cases, they need to be able to do active outreach to the customer. Now, why am I saying this? Because most of these third-party softwares actually lack the ability to be able to send outbound messages over WhatsApp. Then we have chat interface and history access, which of course very important too for companies to actually have an idea of what's going on in these chats and to be able to jump into if they need to. And again, I'm saying it because a lot of these softwares lack this, right? Now, the fourth is knowledge integration. Of course, we want our AI agent to be able to respond to questions from the customer about the company. So we want to have a knowledge base to perform RAG on to actually be able to answer these queries, right? And tool usage, of course, is very important too, right? Just like a normal customer support rep needs to have their CRM at the side to actually update statuses, look for the status of orders, things like that. Our agent also needs access to that, right? And to also be able to actually save data to a CRM or update data of the CRM. And lastly, of course, many people use voice messages, images, and documents to communicate with companies. So it's very important that our AI agent can also understand these media types. Which brings me to the next part, which is a little bit of an overview of the softwares that are available right now to build these agents, right? And the types of WhatsApp agents that I've seen, right? So I gotten in 3 types of requirements, right? The first one, which is the most common one, is inbound plus outbound agents. So companies that need an agent that can actually actively reach out to customers and also be able to respond to queries from customers coming in, right? But I've also seen outbound only. For example, companies that just want to do sort of personalized outreach or marketing campaign through WhatsApp, but doesn't actually need to automate the conversation itself, right? And then the last type is inbound only, right? For example, the appointment set I just mentioned, a company that only needs to respond to incoming queries from customers. So basically, for the softwares, we have 3 types of options. right? The first one is the third-party provider. So these are basically the softwares that I mentioned before. And these softwares are basically Meta official partners that can provide the official WhatsApp business API for you. So the big advantage, the big upside of this, of course, is that you don't have to go through the hassle of actually setting up the official WhatsApp business API. And the second thing they do, of course, they make it really easy for you to build AI agents and deploy them on WhatsApp in basically 5 minutes, right? And also they're fully compliant with Meta because, of course, they're Meta partners and you're working with the official WhatsApp business API. And most of them also have knowledge integration, so you can give your agents access to knowledge to actually be able to respond to questions. Now, what are some of the downsides? The first one, of course, is usage costs. Because they're providing this for you, this service, they have to make money, right? So they charge some extra costs on top of it, of course. And the second thing is most of these softwares still lack some of these key features that I mentioned before. Now, I'm not hating at all. I think they're all doing a great job and I'm sure they're working on these features. But at the moment, for some of these use cases, they are not useful yet. For example, Agentive at the moment, they don't have actually chat history yet. They don't have a way to do outbound messaging, right? You can't have media interpretation and there's no human handoff, right? Now, Chatbase is a very similar one to Agentive. Now, Agentive actually does have tool usage, which is a big one. Chatbase, very similar to Agentive. They actually do have chat history, but also no outbound, no human handoff, no media interpretation. And I don't think, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think they have tool usage either, right? Then we have ManyChat, which is more like a traditional chatbot builder, right? So we have a lot less flexibility with our AI agent, but we do actually have outbound messaging. But and chat history, etc. But it's a lot more difficult to have knowledge and tools, etc. in a platform like ManyChat. Then we have Droxy, which is another one which actually does have a human handoff feature, but doesn't have outbound and media interpretation, and also no chat history, I think, yet. And then we have BotPress, which gives you a lot more flexibility, but from my understanding, they don't have media interpretation yet, and also I don't think outbound messaging, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Now, the second option, which is my preferred option, especially for the complete solutions, right, the inbound plus outbound, is going with the actual official WhatsApp business API. Now, the big upside of this is we can actually start working with our most flexible AI agent builders, right, like N8N, Relevance AI, VoiceFlow, Make, VectorShift, Flowwise. We can just integrate our own official WhatsApp business API into these platforms, and therefore we have a lot more flexibility. And therefore we can do things like media interpretation, right? We can do outbound and notifications. Now, keep in mind that with Meta, with official WhatsApp API, to do outbound messages, we need pre-approved templates from Meta. We can only send those out, again, because they try to prevent spam, but we can still do quite some personalization because we can work with variables, and through those variables, we can still keep messaging very personalized, for example, in outbound marketing or sales. Right, and I'm going to show you that later too. And then most of these softwares here have also lower costs, right, than those others, right? And again, you're fully compliant with Meta because you have the official WhatsApp API. Now, what are the downsides? Again, you have those pre-approved messages, but again, you can do quite a lot with those, right? And I'm going to show you later how you set that up too inside of Meta. Right, you have to set up the official WhatsApp API. Now, again, it's not that difficult, right? If you've done it once, you know how it is, and the second time will probably take you 15 or maximum 30 minutes, right? Then the other downside which you have with them too is you need a separate number, right? You can't actually use your actual phone number because you'll lose access to that, and you can't use WhatsApp Web with these WhatsApp official WhatsApp Business API numbers, right? And most of these platforms don't have the actual right UI or the front end to actually have the chat history and the human handoff feature. So I'm going to tell you in a second my setup to actually have both of these features in there too. And then the third option is actually to do it without the official WhatsApp API. Now, this is a little bit more of a hacky way because, of course, Meta doesn't wants people to use their official WhatsApp API. It's also how they make money, right? But there is a way to do it without the official API, and you can actually do it on Relevance AI. So there are a few upsides of this. And the first one is, of course, you don't have to set up the official WhatsApp API. But second, you can keep your existing number. So you can do this on your personal number or your existing number, and you still have access to WhatsApp Web, right? Which is big because you can still jump into WhatsApp Web to actually take over the conversation, which is not, in general, not possible with the official WhatsApp Business API, right? Then the second is we can do 100% personalized outreach because we don't need these pre-approved message templates that we need with the official API. So we can actually do 100% personalized outreach. and it's also the cheapest. Now, what are the downsides? We can't do media interpretation through this setup. It is a bit slower because inside of relevance, they basically check every 2 minutes if there's new messages. So it might take up to 2 minutes before your agent actually responds. There might be a little bit more errors because, of course, it's not the official sort of setup. We don't get a direct webhook, right? And there is a small risk of Meta blocking your number, right? Now, I don't think this is a huge risk if you don't really overuse it and starts sending really irrelevant spam to thousands of people. Then probably you don't have to worry about this. But of course, it is a risk. So what are my recommendations? And take this with a grain of salt. This is just my setup. There must be way more setups. This is just what worked for me, right? So for outbound only, I have actually had clients like that. That's actually what I do, right? I go without the official WhatsApp API. Why? Because clients can still keep their own number, and we can do 100% personalized outreach, right? And then they can just take over the conversation inside of the normal WhatsApp web or whatever chat management tool they use to actually respond to the customers if they respond, right? So that's my setup for outbound only. For inbound only, where we only respond to customers, I do like Agentive, right? Chat-based also pretty good, but I do prefer Agentive because of the tools we can integrate. So I would go with Agentive, but only in the case that you don't need human handoff, right? If you need human handoff, then you can also use these platforms very easily, like N8N, Make, VoiceFlow, Relevance, whatever you want, right? Because of course with Agentive, we don't have that human handoff, we don't have the media interpretation, etc. So you can set up inbound only also through N8N, make.com. If you see my last video, I'll make sure to link it up here too. I basically set up an inbound voice WhatsApp agent only through make.com, for example. And then for the complete solution with all the key features I mentioned, that's where I use a combination of Relevance AI and make.com. Basically because through make.com, we get all the integrations necessary with the official WhatsApp API. So we can get documents, voice, images, everything we want. And with Relevance AI, we basically get the front end to get the chat history and also the human handoff feature, right? So if you don't need the chat history and the human handoff, again, you can do it only in make.com or N8N, wherever you prefer. But because Relevance AI basically already has that sort of front end built in, that's why I use that combination. So I'm going to show you a breakdown of this setup and this setup, because I think for outbound only, there's many interesting use cases too, especially if we can work with these 100% personalized messages. And if you're interested in inbound only, I also have a video on my channel where I show an inbound sales agent that I built on Agentive. So if you're interested in that, you can also check that one out. But in this video, I'll go over this one and this one. So let me get to the setups of what I'm going to show you today. So the first one I'm going to show you is outbound only, right? Without the official WhatsApp API. Now we can do this, like I said, only in Relevance AI, right? And the big advantage, of course, here is we can keep our current number, we can keep using WhatsApp Web, and we can do 100% personalized outreach because we don't have to work with the pre-approved messages. Now, we can, with this setup, actually also automate inbound, right inside Relevance AI. We can all do this inside of Relevance AI. Normally, it's not my preferred setup, again, because it's a little bit slower, right? It basically polls every 2 minutes to check if there are new messages, and it can't interpret voice, image, or document, right? But I'm going to show you this anyway, because if you maybe don't have a business right now, and you still want to try this out, then you can basically set up the entire system like this, right? And you can basically automate your own personal WhatsApp or any other WhatsApp you want to automate. So we're going to do this only with Relevance AI. And then the second thing I'm going to show you is the complete setup that I usually use for clients that need sort of the inbound and outbound, right, with the official WhatsApp Business API. I'm going to take the use case of a travel agency because it's what I recently built for a client. So I sort of replicated it. For this, it's not entirely the same, but you get a good idea, right? So for this first one, we only need Relevance AI. If you're completely new to Relevance AI, it's a no-code AI agent builder. I have many other tutorials on Relevance AI too, if you're interested, or if this is going maybe a little bit too fast. I have some more beginner-friendly ones. And then the second one is a combination of Relevance AI and Make.com. So let me first show you how you can build personalized outreach through WhatsApp tool right in Relevance AI. Now, again, I took this travel agency as an example, right? So basically, just to give you some context, what they wanted is they had all these past clients that booked holidays with them. They basically wanted to re-engage them with a personalized message, basically recommending a new promotion of a new destination they had. And they wanted to sort of recommend relevant ones. So making sure that they're sort of similar to the previous ones they went to, right? And basically, whenever then they respond, right, they've also wanted to, so you can see here, basically we have a Google Sheets with the name, the past holiday, and the number. And from that, we use a RAG, right, a knowledge search, and I'm going to show you this in detail, to find a similar destination with a promotion, right? We're going to send that personalized message to the customer, and as soon as they answer, they also wanted to automate sort of the answering, right? So that's where our AI agent takes over, right, to actually respond to the customers. And our AI agent there in Relevance has access to 5 tools in this case. So we have the send WhatsApp message tool, so it basically can send messages back, right? It has a deals database tool, so basically a database full of all the special deals or all the deals the travel agency had available at the moment. So it could basically get that information and send it back to the customer if they have questions or whatever. A general knowledge base with questions and answers from the actual company, general information about the company. Then we had tool 4, which is the human handoff tool, which is built into Relevance AI, right? And it's basically what they call this delegate to manager tool, right? And basically we can instruct our agent when to delegate to a human, right? Or to a manager, how they call it. And we can do that through Slack and email. And basically in this case, we instructed our agent to delegate it to a human as soon as the agent identified that there was intent of booking, right? So a human could take over and give them a call basically to finalize the booking. The second case was if an answer was not found inside of the knowledge base, right, then the human could jump in, answer the question, and therefore we also had tool 5, which is actually save an answer to the knowledge base. So as soon as a human came in to answer a question, because it was not available in the knowledge base, then we'll also use the save answers to knowledge base to actually update the knowledge base, and the next time a lead will have that question, it will actually be able to answer it. So it's a sort of self-training tool, right? So that was sort of the setup for this. Now, again, for this use case, our agent can't understand voice, images, or documents, right? So I'm also going to show you this setup, which is my normal setup, of course, right? And in this case, we use a combination of Make and Relevance AI. Now, why do we use Make? And Make, we basically use to interpret these documents, voice, images, etc., right? And also because Make has a direct webhook with WhatsApp, so we don't have to wait and poll every 2 minutes. Whenever a message comes in, we get it directly in, so we can actually respond as fast as possible. So the way that works for the inbound handling of responses is Make.com receives the message, right, through a webhook in the WhatsApp module, right? Then we can identify what type of message it is, and if it's an audio, we go voice to text first, right? If it's a document, we download the document, we transcribe the document, right? If it's an image, we pass it through an image NNM, right, that can actually see what it is, or if it's a text message. And based on that, it will then be sent to our agent in Relevance AI, right? So that's how we make sure that we can handle all of these different media types, right? And then the setup is very similar, right? And you could even, in this case, we didn't do it, but you could even make it send back voice messages or images, etc. You simply connect your send WhatsApp tool also to Make.com, right? Now that's it. Now for the personalized outreach in this setup, we need to work with pre-approved messages, which I'm going to show you later, right? So let me first show you this tool and how it's set up in Relevance AI. So let me get to Relevance AI. Right, so here we have my personalized WhatsApp generator tool for the travel agency. Right now, if you don't know what a tool is, if you're new to this, tool is basically a workflow or logic-based automation where we can string together a few steps to automate a process. Right now, for this personalized WhatsApp generator tool, basically this agency, they had a list with data of their old customers who've taken a holiday with them, right? They basically had the price of the old holiday, they had the old holiday destination, the name, of course, the phone number, and the type of holiday, if it's like a beach holiday or a city destination, etc. And basically on these 3 data points, like the destination, the price, and the holiday, we're trying to find out of a database of their new deals the best sort of recommendations for these customers, and that's how we sort of personalize the message. So let me show you quickly how this is set up. All right, so we have basically 5 input fields, the ones that I showed you, right? Price, destination, name, phone number, and type of holiday, right? And then what we do is a knowledge search, right? And in this case, we're basically querying the knowledge base, almost like a Google search, right? And we're saying find similar holiday destinations to, right? And we give the name, the name of the destination, right? The type of holiday, right? And the price, right? And our knowledge search will retrieve the most similar results to those. So if you want to, this is, for example, I just set up a dummy one, right? But we have the destination, the discount, duration, the price, the link to book, right? And the type of holiday, right? So it goes through that and finds the most similar ones, right? So I'm going to show you, I'll show you in a second an example. So basically this outputs some similar results, right? Then we put that into one more language model step where we basically try to get it down to the best one. Because here we get 3 results back, I think. Yes, 3 results. Here you can define how many results you want back, right? In that extra AI step here, and again, you can read the prompt in detail in your own time if you clone my template, right? But it basically finds the best one, right? We output that best one, and then we're going to send a WhatsApp, right? Now, I actually sent 3 to make it look as real as possible. So the first one just says, hi, name, right? How are you? Right? Then we have a slight delay to not send them all exactly at the same time. So we have an 8-second delay, right? And then we send the second message, right? It's Ben from Atlas Journeys, right? Just wondering, did you already book your holidays this year, right? Again, we do a little bit of a delay, right? 10 seconds. And then we actually send the personalized message. We have an amazing deal on, right? And the destination, the best matches their past holiday, basically. I think you'd love it after your, and then we personalize that again with the last destination they went to. Let me know if you want to learn more, right? So let me show you how this works in action. And then I'll show you how you can actually run this in bulk too, right? On a long list. So let's say the price was $1,200, right? The past holiday destination was, let's say, Paris, right? Name, let's do my name, Ben, put in my phone number. And type of holiday, city, right? So we run the tool. And you can see it found 3 results that are similar, right? It outputted 1, Vienna. Right now, I should have received the first message. So you can see, yes, the second already too. And now I should get the personalized one in a few seconds. There you go. So we have an amazing deal on Vienna right now. I think you'd love it after your Paris trip, right? Let me know if you want to learn more, right? So that's how it works. And now the cool thing is we can actually also automate the responses, right? So I'm going to show you that in a second, but first I want to show you how you can actually run this in bulk. So you can actually run it on a large list of people to do personalized outreach for. So you just go back here to use, right? You go to run in bulk, right? And here you could basically just upload a CSV with a column for each of the input fields, and then you could just map them together, right? And run them on the whole spreadsheet. So I don't have a spreadsheet with that right now, but I can show you a quick example. Here on an existing data set I just made, right? And here you can see I have right, let's say these are the columns of your CSV. Then you can basically just map it, right? So you can click generate with tool, then you can map the input fields of your tool with the columns of your CSV, right? So in this case, price, right? Destination, name, phone number. Where's the phone number? And type of holiday, right? And here, and then you run it in bulk on the entire list, right? So very useful feature, I think, especially for this WhatsApp outreach. Now, so let me show you that our agent can also respond, right? If someone answers, and I'll also show you the human handoff feature. Now, this agent's actually connected to my own personal account right now. So I'm going to change it to my other WhatsApp account because of course it won't get triggered if we send ourselves a message. So I'll put in my other WhatsApp, and then we can actually first send the outreach message from here. So you could basically click here, right? And it will run it on this row. Or if you click it on this and you have a list, it will run it on all. So you can see now it will send this from my own personal account. You see, right? We're getting the messages. And this is the nice thing of this, right? Of course, we can still jump into our own WhatsApp web to actually respond. So I'll just respond back something like, hey, I'm actually looking for a trip to Asia. Right? So I just responded. Now, this is the big advantage, right? It's like of this sort of setup without the official WhatsApp API. I can still jump in here and actually respond to the client, right? Now, the downside is it only answers every 1 or 2 minutes because we only, Relevance AI only checks for new messages every 1 or 2 minutes. So you can see we got it back now, and it did take 2 minutes. And you can see I basically gave my agent access to the same database, right, of the deals, right? So now I found some deals in Asia, right? Bangkok, Thailand, Kyoto, Seoul, right? Now, let me show you that can also actually answer questions from the knowledge base, right? So it has another database with actually like an FAQ, basically, most common questions and answers. So for example, I can ask, do you have discounts for groups? I know that's in the knowledge base. So here we got it back. Yes, we offer 10% discount for groups of over 10 people. If you're planning a trip with friends or family, let me know and I can help you with the details, right? Now, let me show you the human handoff feature, right? So basically we instructed this agent to go for human handoff as soon as it doesn't have the information for to answer a question inside of his knowledge base. And also when the client shows high intent of booking a trip, right? Because then basically the travel agency wanted to call them to help them set it up themselves. So for example, I ask a question which is not in the knowledge base. For example, do trips, are the trips to Tokyo suitable for wheelchairs? I don't know. It's I'm sure this is not in the knowledge base, so it should do human handoff. And the human handoff, basically, you'll get notified on Slack and through email or whatever. You can do both or one of those, whatever you prefer. Of course, I have to send it from my other WhatsApp. Or that I send it from the agent, of course, because I answered in here. Yes, now I did it right. Of course, I send it to the client now from ours. So you can see we got a message here in Slack now. Customer asked if trips to Tokyo are suitable for wheelchairs, right? So then we get a button here basically where we can go to our agent, right, in Relevance, and you could go directly to that message, right? And then of course you can go directly into your WhatsApp web to actually answer the question, or you can actually go in here and say, yes, all trips to Tokyo are wheelchair suitable. Right now, and basically the advantage of doing it here inside of Relevance is we have another tool here, which is called Save Answer to Knowledge. So as soon as you can see here in the background, it will save this answer to the knowledge base. So the next time a customer sends that question, the agent will actually know, right, and can answer it. So you can see it responded back, right? Yes, all trips in Tokyo are wheelchair suitable. If you have any questions or need more info, just let me know, right? So that's how it works. Of course, the advantage of this, non-official WhatsApp API is that we still have access here to this WhatsApp web. So we don't necessarily have to answer there in Relevance AI. But for the WhatsApp business, official WhatsApp business API, that's very useful because we don't have access to WhatsApp web, right? With an official WhatsApp business API. So that's it. And then I'll show you very quickly also if I show high intent for booking, we'll also get notified, right? Well, for human handoff. So I can say something like, okay, great. Could you help me book a trip? Right. And now again, it will let us know through email and through Slack. That's basically how it works. And it can be quite useful because you can basically just let this run automatically in the background, and only when there's high intent of booking or there's any questions that can't be answered by the bot, then you have to jump in quickly. So you can see, right, again, we got notified to our Asia trip request. Customers intent on booking trip right now and wants assistance, right? And again, you can then just go through the Relevance AI thread of the customer, find his phone number, call him, right? So that's how it works. Also remember, right, with the non-official WhatsApp Business API setup, our agent won't be able to understand media files, right? So that's another downside of this setup, but it can be quite powerful. And you can literally, actually, what I'm doing right now is automating my own personal WhatsApp, which is pretty insane. So let me show you now how this agent is set up. And then after I do the agent setup and I'll go over the tools, then I'll show you how to actually set this up with the official WhatsApp Business API and how you can also besides all of this, let your agent also understand media types like voice, image, and documents. So I'll go over the agent settings very quickly and through the tools. But again, right, the template will be available also in my community. So if you want to check it out in more detail, you can do that there. So the agent profile, right? We have the name, right? WhatsApp travel agent, non-official WhatsApp business API. Now here we have the integrations, right? So here we basically have two options, right? We have the WhatsApp for business trigger. So we can actually trigger it directly from Relevance AI with the official WhatsApp API. But I'm not doing that in the next one I'm showing because then it won't interpret voice, images, documents, etc. That's why I'm doing it through Make. But the second option here is the normal WhatsApp, right? Which is my personal WhatsApp, right? And the way you can see mine is already connected, right? But the way you do that is basically here. As you can see, it's just like if you know WhatsApp, right? It's just like WhatsApp web, right? You just scan, you link a device, you scan this, and it's connected. So that's all you have to do there. Um, So that's it for the trigger, right? Then we have the core instructions, right? I'll go over it very quickly. I use my AI agent prompter tool usually to help me write them a little bit faster and quicker. Just check out my prompting resource. You'll find it there. So you're Ben, an expert WhatsApp customer support agent for a travel agency, right? With a particular knack for blah, 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 right? Your goal is to help and encourage people to book trips with our agency. Think step by step to and ensure you provide friendly, helpful, and non-formal support. Right. Besides booking trips, you also help resolve any questions they might have. Right now, as SOP, right? Think step by step through the following process. Initial trigger. When the customer responds to one of our outreach messages, you are activated, right? Giving it a little bit of context, right? Now, the first thing in this specific setup with the personal, non-official WhatsApp API, we actually have to we can first retrieve the conversation history, which is a tool which I'm going to show you later. So the agent gets a little bit more context of the conversation that has already been going on, or the recommendation in this case we already sent through the outreach message. Then we always aim to suggest travel deals and bookings to the customer, right? Communicate with the customer, answer questions, right? Now here's the escalate to manager, right? Which I'm also going to show you in a second how to set that up. But here you can basically instruct it when to actually escalate it to us, right? So in this case, always use the escalate to manager tool in the following scenarios. When you have run the knowledge retrieval tool and didn't get any useful information back from the knowledge base. So that's the example if I said of my example. So that's the one for my example where I said, are the Tokyo trips suitable for wheelchairs, right? In that case, it tried to get the knowledge from the knowledge retrieval. It didn't find an answer, and therefore it started delegating it to us, right? The second is when the customer asks to talk to a human, right? When the customer's intent on booking a trip right now, right? Whenever you don't know how to handle a question or inquiry from the customer. And lastly, whenever you receive a message that you cannot yet read, this usually is an image or an audio message, right? This is what I said before. They can't understand that yet. So in this case, I also told it to delegate it to us if they're sending that, because basically it will still pop up in the agent, but he won't be able to do anything with that file, basically. And then lastly is the update to knowledge base tool, right? Which I'm going to show you too. Use the save answer to knowledge tool when your manager has responded to a question that was not yet in the knowledge retrieval tool, right? So that was the example I said too, right? With the wheelchair that was then saved into the knowledge search, so our agent can actually answer that question next time. Then we have the instructions, right? I double down on that rule for the escalate to manager tool, right? Again, I give it some more context on the tools and an example, or one or two examples. In this case, one example of an actual conversation with a client, right? And I double down on the important rules again in the notes section. So again, you can check it out in detail in different places, right? In the flow builder, I haven't used in this one, right? Because not an extremely complex workflow. It's more like a chatbot, right? So that's why I didn't use the flow builder. Now here, it's the important part in the abilities, right? And because here in the abilities, we have the escalate to humans option, right? And here you can see, allow your agent to escalate to you when it doesn't know how to act, right? So in this case, you could choose both between email and Slack. So I did both. You could just fill in your email here, then connect your Slack and choose the channel you want to send the message to. And then automatically it's basically added as a tool inside of your agent system, right? And you'll see that too, then it will pop up. If you use a slash here, you'll see it basically appears as a tool inside of your prompt, right? So you can see I used it here, escalate to manager, right? And then you can see in the tools because it actually doesn't appear here, right? But it's still a tool. It's just basically a built-in tool from Relevance AI. Now, I've equipped this agent with 5 tools. I'll go through them very quickly. So first, we have the retrieve chat history, right? So as soon as a customer responds, we basically prompt our agent to always first use that retrieve chat history. Only the first time, right? Because after that, it won't need it because all the messages will come in the same thread. I can show you. It basically identifies, you can see, it's all in the same thread. So we have a different thread for each of the WhatsApp chats, right? So for all the rest of the conversation, he'll already have the context, right? Because all the messages come in here. So it's only for the first one. So I'm going to show you quickly how that's set up. So I'm going to actually show you through the example, right? So you can see I responded to him, hey, I'm actually looking for a trip to Asia, right? And he first used the retrieve chat history, right? And basically gets the last 5 messages from the conversation. So you can see, hi, Ben, how are you, right? It's Ben from Atlas Journey. So it's the outreach messages we sent, right? Then we have the use travel deal search, right? Of course, because I asked for trips to Asia. So let me show you first this tool in a little bit more detail. So basically, we can retrieve that through the chat ID, right? And the chat ID we automatically get as soon as a customer sends a question, right, to this chat. So you can see here at the end we have the chat ID. So our agent knows how to fill out that chat ID, right? So that's our input field for this tool. Is the chat ID, right? You can see it filled that out correctly, right? And then we have a simple WhatsApp actions here, and this is the key, right? So in Relevance, we basically have 3 options here for WhatsApp, right? So we have a send follow-up message for WhatsApp Business. So this would be for the official WhatsApp Business API. This also send template message for the WhatsApp Business API, and this is for your personal WhatsApp, right? So if you select this one, you can see you have multiple options. You have the get all chats, right? You have get all messages from a chat, right? You have get user profile if you want to get their name, for example, or their phone number, right? Then you have send messages in a chat and start new chat. Now you can actually use both of these, even if a chat is already exists. Even if a chat already exists, you could still use the start new chat and it will respond in the same chat. So that's it. So in this case, I got the action get all messages from chat, right? And basically what we need, there's the chat ID, and then we get that information back, right? So if I run it, you can see it'll get back the last 5 messages right now. Then I have one more step, which is an LLM step that basically cleans this information up a little bit because we don't need all this information, chat provider ID, etc. So all this LLM does, please extract the last 5 messages in this conversation, right? And then it outputs it in a cleaner way. As you can see, right? So we send clean data back to our agent, which in general is good, right? We want to keep the life of our agent as easy as possible because he already has the plan. He has lots of other responsibilities. So we want to always send clean data back to our agents. So that's it for that first tool. Then the second tool here is that knowledge base, basically that I showed you before for the personalized outreach too, right? Where it can basically query a database full of deals, right? To find. So in this case, what is the customer looking for? This query will be used in a vector search on the database, be specific and concise, right? So in this case, Asia, right? It runs it through the knowledge, right? To actually find the deals we have available in Asia, right? So again, I can run it quickly so you get an idea. So again here, and this in general is really good for these um, knowledge retrieval tools, right? Is always have a step after the actual knowledge retrieval. So in this case, I in the settings I put to retrieve 5 results, right? And then in this second step, again, I'm making sure that the results that I'm getting from that knowledge base actually match the query, right? So what I showed you before also in the personalized outreach, we're basically making sure that it actually matches what the original query of the user was, right? So you can see what it put out, right, is option 1. In this case, they were all valid option, right? But sometimes 1 or 2 might not be, or maybe the customer is asking for one specific city and it returns 5. Then this step will make sure that it only uh, uh, outputs 1, right? So again, you can check it out in detail in the template, right? Now we can check the next one. So this is the actual sending of the WhatsApp, right? I'm going to show you this one quickly. Again, for sending a message back in a conversation, we need to know the chat ID, right? Which our agent again fills out, right? And of course, the WhatsApp message to send to the customer, right? Now, I instructed my agent to be very brief, concise in this message, right? Because it's a WhatsApp message. We don't want to have these really long AI texts, right? So be brief, concise, don't use white spaces or line breaks or special formatting. Do not use bold, right? Talk like a human, avoid being overly formal. This is a WhatsApp message. It's supposed to be a personal communication channel, right? So you can see it didn't use any bold, etc. Right. So here's the message. And then again, we have that WhatsApp actions module. And in this case, we have sent message in a chat. Now it asks for the chat ID, right? Where I put in the variable and of course, the text message, which is this variable, right? And it sends that. And yeah, that's how it works. So good. Let me go to the next one, which would be the knowledge retrieval, right? So this is another knowledge base, basically, with more general FAQs, right? So you can see, do you have any questions? Or sorry, do you have any discounts for groups, right? That's the query. Now, what I've done here is I actually tried to optimize the query before passing it into the knowledge search. Now, why do we do that? To actually, it makes a huge difference how that query is formulated. And sometimes customers ask a question in a way that is not well optimized for actual search through a knowledge base, right? So very good to sort of put this LLM in front that optimizes the query for a knowledge search. So you can see here the search query, right? I put that in, and then users are asking for help about travel, which is a travel agency for elderly. This search query is free-form text that we need to convert into an effective search query for a FAQ database. This means it should be concise and remove all filler words that don't contribute to the search, right? So basically trying to optimize that query for this step, the knowledge search, right? And you can see we pass on that variable inside of the actual knowledge search, right? So, and then again, right, we make sure, and this is also, again, really important, we make sure that that answer actually matches the question, the original query of the user, right? And I'm going to show you this quickly, because if it doesn't, right, we don't want to send that back to the customer, right? So basically what we instructed here in this last one is original search query, right? We pass in the original search query from the user, the revised one, the one we optimized in our first step, right? Information that might help, which is the outcome of the vector search, right? So you can see the vector search brought back 5 results, right? And some were not relevant, right? And based on the search query, analyze the information that might help and extract anything that is relevant to the query. If nothing is relevant, please feel comfortable to return no useful information. Now, this is really important, right? To instruct it to output this. Why? Because with this, we know our agent knows that we don't have this information available in the knowledge base, right? And therefore, it will escalate it to a human then after, right? Because if we don't do that and we just send this directly back to our agent, it might just start responding it with some random answer here that we got back that actually doesn't match the query or the question of the user very well. So you can see in this case, it did find a relevant answer. So yes, we offer a 10% discount on groups over 10 people, right? So that's what it sends back then to the user, but I can show you the example of where it wasn't, right? So in the next one, right, you can see in this case, there was no useful information, right? So that was sent back to the agent. So the agent then knows, okay, this information is not available in the knowledge retrieval, so we're going to delegate it to a human, right? And you can see it did that, right? Has escalated the task to you, right? Now, we then answered the question here, right? And then, of course, our agent's going to save that answer to our knowledge base, right? So next time it does that knowledge retrieval, this information is actually in there, right? So I'm going to show you this quickly. So what we pass in is the original question and the answer, right? Those are the two input fields, and those two input fields we then upload to our knowledge set, right? As you can see. So very useful, right? You make your agent sort of train itself automatically. That's it. I think these are all the tools. Yes, these are all the tools. So this is how you set up the agent for a personal WhatsApp, right? Non-official WhatsApp. Now I'm going to show you how to set it up with the official WhatsApp API. Now, before starting, very quickly, it's important to understand that if you want to work with the official WhatsApp Business API, you do need to verify your or a business inside of Meta, right? So if you don't have a business right now, it's probably not an option for you. You can stick with the other version. But if you do, right, then you have to set up the WhatsApp API first inside of Meta and verify your business. If you don't know how to do that or you don't have it yet, I do explain it in detail in one of my previous videos, right? Check that one out. I'll make sure to link it up here at the end. I'll explain the step-by-step process of how to set up the WhatsApp Business API. So I'm not going to explain it in this one. So assuming you have your business and you have your WhatsApp Business API, I'm going to explain you the following things, right? How to set up outbound personalized outreach through the official WhatsApp Business API. I'm going to explain then quickly how you can also do notifications. And then I'm going to explain you how to automate the inbound, right? People who respond to those questions. And this system is very similar, right, to the one I just showed you. The biggest difference is now we can actually interpret voice, images, and documents. So let me start with the outbound personalized outreach. Now, before starting, very important to understand that through the WhatsApp, the official WhatsApp Business API, basically Meta wants to have some guardrails in place, right, to not send any irrelevant spam to customers. So we can only do outbound messaging through pre-approved template messages. So basically, we have to fill in template messages, send them to Meta. They have to approve them, and then we can use them in our outbound messaging. Now, we can still work with variables. I'm going to show you that in a second. So we can still basically personalize them. And then for inbound, as soon as a customer texts us, then we basically have a 24-hour window after that last message to respond to the customer using any message we want, right? We don't need pre-approved templates there. So as soon as the customer interacts with us, right, then we can actually have the freedom to send whatever we want. So that's why our agent here does have complete freedom to send whatever he wants. It's only if we do the first outreach, right, then we actually need the pre-approved template messages. So I'll show you very quickly first how you set that up inside of Meta. So again, assuming you already have your WhatsApp Business API set up, right? You go to your business.facebook.com, right? And there you select your business portfolio. And from there, you click on the gear icon, right? From there, you can go to your WhatsApp accounts. Right now, I have multiple, but from there, you can go to WhatsApp Manager here, right? In summary. And from the WhatsApp Manager, we can basically set up these pre-approved template messages, right? So I'm going to show you here, right? Message templates, as you can see. Here you can click on Manage Templates. You can see I made one quickly for this example, right? You can choose some they already have, or you can create another one. So you can click on Create a Template, right? You have to choose which type of notification it is, right? Which kind of message it is. In this case, I choose marketing and custom, right? Then I go to next, right? You can name your template, right? Travel, notification. You want to avoid words like, promotion or things like that, because you might risk that Meta doesn't approve your template message. But you do have it used to be a lot more strict. Now they give you a lot more wiggle room for also promotional messages, but it's very important to get decent reply rates to these messages, because if you don't, right, then Meta might, in the longer term, right, you might have a potential of Meta blocking your account because they feel like you're sending spam, right? So we want to keep it relevant. In general, we want to sort of send it to people we've had contact with or know about us to keep our number or quality rating high, right? So travel notification, and then basically here you could just type in your message, right? So in this case, hey, how are you, right? I'm Ben, right? We have interesting deal for, right? And then we can work with variables, right? Same way as we do in Relevance AI with the double curly brackets, right? And that basically we can then later fill out, right? And personalize. So I'm Ben, we have an interesting deal for, let's say, Tokyo. I think we'll have your trip, right? So like this, we could still basically personalize these messages quite a lot, right? So then you have to give them an example of what you would actually fill out, right? So they get an idea of how your actual message would look like. But you can cheat a little bit here, right? Like you can say something that actually you can leave the variable for a promotion, right? While in the test one, you actually, don't, you pretend like it's not a promotion, right? And then you do submit for review, and usually right away they approve it, right? And then basically it's going to be available. Right now, let me show you how you set up the personalized outreach. So I did the personalized outreach. As you can see, I set that one up in make.com. Now, why? Because the modules in make.com, we directly have access to that WhatsApp Business API here, the WhatsApp Business Cloud, right? And you can see basically very simple, right? I have set up the Google Sheets just as an example, right? Same sheet as I used before, right? My name, the past destination of mine, right? What type of holiday it was, the price, and the phone number, right? And basically this make scenarios, this is searching the rows in the sheet. In this case, it's only one, but it can go through an entire list, right? To do it in bulk, right? So I have my travel agency client sheet name, etc., right? And then what I do is basically I pass it through that sort of same tool that I showed you before, where we're trying to find a similar holiday destination, right, with Relevance AI. Right now, if you don't have that specific use case, you don't need to do this with Relevance AI. You can also directly send it, right, with WhatsApp, if you don't need to personalize it with the knowledge base, etc., right? But as I already had it set up in Relevance, that's why I connected this. If you don't know how to connect Relevance AI tools, make sure to watch one of my beginners tutorials where I explain it in detail, right? But again, this template will be available also in my community. So basically, I connected this to. I can show you quickly the tool. Find agents here. Find travel deals. So all this tool does, right? Again, right? Past holiday price. It passes in all these data points. Then we do a knowledge search and output a best matching to the destination, right? Now we get that one back, right? And we then use that as a variable, right? So as you can see, and I'm going to show you this one because I haven't set this one up yet. So we go output. There you go. So I'm going to show you this. So this is the Relevance AI, right? For all we get from this tool is the output of the new destination we were going to recommend, right? And here we can then choose our message template, right? So in the WhatsApp module, WhatsApp Business Cloud module, right, we have two options here, which is to send a message where we have complete freedom, right? But remember, we can only use that one if a customer first interacted with us, right? So if it's outside of the 24-hour window, then we can't use that one. It will give an error. So then we have to use, in this case, we have to use a template message, right? Because we are the first one reaching out to the customer. So we use that one. Again, right, if you don't know how to connect this to make.com, I explain it in detail also in the other video, right? How to connect make.com to your WhatsApp Business API. So here we can, of course, select the sender, right? This will automatically be filled out, right? And the receiver. Now, in this case, the receiver, right, is in my spreadsheet, right, which is the phone number without plus, or you can't even use plus. And then you can hear your message template will automatically appear, right? So you can see I already did this before, right? So my message template already appears, right? And here you can see the message template, right? Hi, how are you? Ben from Atlas Travels here. Was wondering if you have planned your holidays for this year already. We have a great trip too. Available right now. I think you'd love it after your trip. Let me know if you want to learn more, right? So very similar actually to that message that I used with the non-official WhatsApp API. And then here we can fill out the variables, right? So in this case, number one is the name, right? So I take that just from the spreadsheet. Then number two is the new deal we want to recommend. So I'll take that from the output of the Relevance AI tool, right? So output this one, as you can see, the last time I ran it, it's Vienna, right? And the last one is their past holiday destination, which I can also take from the spreadsheet, right? Past destination. So that's it, right? I already set it up in this one. Yes, I already did. So I can delete it, but that's the way it works. And now if I just turn it on, right, and run it once, you'll see that I get that personalized message. Boom, we just got it in. You see, hi Ben, how are you? Ben from Atlas Travels here. I was wondering if you have planned holidays. We have a great trip to Vienna available right now. I think you'd love it after your Paris trip. So you can see this is how we can do in bulk, also do personalized outreach through the WhatsApp, the official WhatsApp Business API. Now you can imagine it's going to be very easy to also set up notifications, right? Which is a big one for companies. I've done it a lot for the clients, which is, payment confirmations, status updates for customers, etc. Because we can basically just connect their CRM or their Stripe, right? Whenever Stripe payment comes in, right? Watch events, we can then connect that to the WhatsApp Business Cloud module, right, and send a template message, right, for payment confirmation or whatever, right? But again, right, all these templates first have to be sent inside of Meta, right? And you can see here, you can actually track, right, the statistics, right? You see message opened, right, blocked, etc., message sent. So that's why we don't want to send spam too much, because if we get too many uh, people blocking us after a message like that, etc., then our number is going to be in risk, right, inside of Meta. Now, let me show you the next part, which is, of course, automating inbound, right, with our agent. Now, our agent is very similar to the one I just showed you for the non-official WhatsApp Business API. The big difference is we are not triggering it directly from relevance. We're triggering it from make to be able to process all these different media types. So I've replicated the travel agent quickly, but then for the official WhatsApp Business API, so as you can see here, I have the non-official one I just showed, and this is the official. Now, very similar, right, setup. The big difference, of course, here, I don't have the trigger with WhatsApp. We're triggering it from make.com scenario. Why? Because then we can actually transform these media types and send that data over to our agent. Now, in this specific use case, documents and images might not be very relevant. Voice, I think, is always relevant because people just respond to people through voice on WhatsApp. But I think I just put it in there because I think documents and images for WhatsApp interpretation have a lot of different use cases. I literally know a startup that just raised a lot of funding that automate basically restaurants orders, because that's done a lot through WhatsApp here in Brazil, with images and documents, and automatically extracting the data from those documents and images and putting it into their CRM. That's the startup, and they just raised a lot of funding because, of course, it saves people a lot of time. So there's a lot of use cases, I think, for those image and document interpretation. Now, looks a bit complex, not that complex, but I'm going to take you through, and also the blueprint will be available in my community, right? So basically, all we do here is, in this first one, it's a watch events from the WhatsApp Business Cloud, right? So that basically triggers every time we receive a message onto that official WhatsApp Business API. Now, again, if you want to learn how to set this up, I explain it all in the other video, right? So this one's set up, right? It's basically a webhook, right? So every time we get a new message, this is triggered, right? And then we basically have a router, right? Whether it's a media or it's just a text message. So let me just first show you a normal text message, right? So if it's a text message, basically here we have a condition, right, that looks at the message type, right? Message type, and if it's text, it goes through this route, right? And then this is basically our agent in Relevance AI, right? So we set up that trigger from make.com. So we send the message over to our agent. Now, how do you do that? I'm going to show you very quickly, right? In your agent, you can here go to API, right? And from here, you can set it up, right? So I put in the endpoint, I put in the request body, right? I generate an API key, right? And that's it. I can go through it very quickly. But again, if you want to know this in detail, I explain it in many of my other tutorials, right? So here I have the URL, right? Which is the endpoint, right? I have the method is always post for these agents or tools in Relevance AI. Then the content type, application JSON, this is always the same. Then for the authorization, you need to paste in your API key, right? And then below you have body type is raw, content type JSON, right? And there we pass in the request body, right? Which again, you can find here. Now, this request body only has an agent ID. So basically we know which agent to send this message to. But in this case, we also want to send each different conversation with each different user into one conversation thread, right? So our agent actually knows what's been happening in the past, because if we don't do it, if we pass in a request body like this, it will start a new chat for every new message it received. So we want to make sure that we send the messages from the same numbers to the same threads. So how do we do that? We add in one more header here, which is the conversation ID. And the conversation ID, we can basically decide what that is. So we just take a unique number from the customer, which in this case, we can just take the phone number, right? We add that into the request body. I can show you here, right? So I just added here another header, right? Conversation ID. And then I just passed in here the variable, which is basically the number. This is how we identify to send these messages, these new messages, into the same conversation thread. So our agent has actually knowledge of what's been happening before, right? So That's it. So from there it gets sent. Now, one thing you might have noticed if you've set up my personal assistant, for example, is uh, if this part I've added, because what happens if our agent is still working? This is how Relevance AI is set up, right? If our agent is still working and it will receive another WhatsApp in that same thread, in that same conversation, then it will give us an error, right? Because our agent is still working in the background, so it won't be able to receive a new message. And with WhatsApp, it's very common that people send two messages very quickly after each other. So what I added here is basically a polling request, right? That basically checks if our agent finished working, right? If he's ready to receive a new message yet, right? And now, how did I set that up, right? It's a special endpoint of Relevance AI, right? There's a documentation page on this too, right? But again, I'll share this, right? So you can do this. And then we have that URL, and then we want to add in the job info or the studio ID, as you can see here, and the job ID. So it can identify if this job is finished. Now, where do we get that from? We get that from the output of that first module, right? So I just pass that in, as you can see, right? We get the job info here, right? Job ID and studio ID. So you just pass those into this URL here. Then the method will be get, right? Again, you put in your authorization and that's it. Now, in a scenario, this will basically say if our agent has completed his task or not, right? And based on the outcome of that, if it's complete, we're just going to send it here to a set variable. Doesn't matter which module you put here. This is just basically means the scenario is ended, right? So if it's complete, we route it to here. So you can see, right? If our polling trigger output's complete, it will finish the flow, because then we can start receiving new messages. Now, let's say our agent is still working. What it will then output is not equal to complete. I don't know what it says, but probably incomplete, right? And in this scenario, and that's why I put a repeater here, right? It will actually go to a sleep module, right? And that sleep module will wait 10 seconds, right? And then we'll run this again, right? And basically it will check again, right? Because it does the repeater again, right? It will check this again, checks if it's complete. If it's still not complete, it will go through the sleep module again, right? So basically wait and wait and wait until it's complete, and then it finishes the scenario. So that's how we make sure that before it receives a new one, it has always completed his current job, right? Now, important to actually make sure that works is to also add in here in the settings, scenario settings, sequential processing. Now, what does that mean? Basically, we're saying to make.com only process scenarios one after the other. So only process a new scenario once the other one is finished. Now, is this a perfect setup? No, but it works well enough, and it avoids the errors of multiple messages, right? And it will still then take that second message that the user sent and process that one too, right? But there is no ideal setup right now for WhatsApp yet, and this works pretty well, right? So that's basically what it does here. So I can show you a quick example, right? So if we say, actually, again, right, I'm looking to Italy. Right now, we won't actually see it. No, we won't. So I'll show you the example later, because I didn't click on run once, so it's just gonna run in the background. So you can see we got a message back. I found a great trip for Italy. It's a 5-night, etc. But I'll show you this in detail how this works in Make. Right now, here the second option, of course, is media, right? And with media, what we need to do with WhatsApp Business Cloud is actually first download the media, right? Very simple module, right? I just pass in all the different types of medias it can be, right? And it will download that then I upload it to Drive, so we actually save that voice or document or image in our own Drive, right? And then I have another router, which basically this one is for documents, as you can see, right? Message type document. This one is for images, and this one is for voice audio. Right now, for voice, what we do is create a transcription, right, with Whisper, the OpenAI module, where we can basically transcribe voice or audios. Then we pass it through a text parser just to clean up the result or the text before we pass it in to the request to our agent, right? And it sends that voice message then to the agent. and he can then start responding it, right? And here it's basically the same setup as I explained before, right? We just make sure that he actually processed it before we start processing the next query of the user, right? Here in the second option, we have an option where we analyze images, right? So we'll actually look at what's in the image, extract all the text, etc. Again, we pass it in a text parser to clean up the text for the API call. We send it to our agent, right? And again, we do the same process to make sure he finished processing it, right? And here we have document, right? So we actually download the document, then we convert it to a file, right? Because we can't take it directly from the Google Drive into extract data from PDF. So I use Dumpling here. I think you could probably use something else too, because it is a paid app, but I really like Dumpling. It gives you sort of clean information back from PDFs or a lot of other sources. So I generate a PDF here. I extract the data from the PDF. Again, I pass it through a text parser, and then I send it over to the agent. So for this specific use case, these images and documents, not very useful, but I think many interesting potential use cases for document interpretation from document and image interpretation from WhatsApp. So let me show you some quick examples. So if I just click here on run once, I first do text. Do you have more options in Europe? Right, and as you can see, right, it sent it to the agent, right, and now it's checking here. I'll show you the output, right? It says in progress yet, right? So that's why it went to the sleep module now, because it was still thinking, and now it repeated it, right? And you can see in the second one is also still in progress, right? So it repeated again, and now it was complete, right, after the fourth time, and then it finished it, right? And you can see our agent came with some other options in Europe, right? But that's how it works there in make.com. Now, let me show you another example with a document, right? Or whatever, an image. So let's just send a really random photo of my thumbnail. Completely unrelated, but we're just gonna, just as an example. Right, you can see now it went the media route, it downloaded the media, now it sends it to the image interpretation model. And again, it will send it to our agent. And now we can actually see what our agent received. It's basically a description, right? The user sent an image. Here's the description of the image. The image shows a person smiling on the left. The text reads AI agent, SEO agency, etc. So basically it describes what's in the image, right? So our agent has a better idea. Now, again, of course, now our WhatsApp agent transferred this or escalated this to us because we instructed our agent to escalate to manager as soon as it doesn't know what to do. And obviously it's very unrelated image. So that's why it's delegating it here to us, right? And again, right here, we can then tell our agent what to respond. Like, thanks for the image. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense, but you get the idea. That's how we have that human handoff with the official WhatsApp API, which is at the moment very difficult to do with any other software. So that's basically how it works here. And of course, you can do voice too, and documents here, right? Again, Blueprint will be available. So let me show you the agent quickly, right? Very similar setup, right? Again, right, we have this almost the same prompt, right? We have the abilities again, right? Of course, we have the escalate to humans, right? In this case, I only have it on Slack. And for the tools, we have everything except for the retrieve chat history, because we can't actually do that on this one. But it's exactly the same as the previous setup. The only difference here is this tool, which is the send WhatsApp to customer tool. Because in this case, we're not doing it with our personal number. Of course, we're sending it with our WhatsApp business API. Now, I'm going to show you that one very quickly. So in this case, we're actually sending it over to make.com through a webhook again, because we have that module there. So in this case, very important to understand too, right? The conversation ID of this conversation, right? So basically we saved each thread or conversation under the phone number of the user, right? Now our agent always knows the conversation ID of each thread, right? So we already know that the conversation ID of this thread is going to be the phone number of the user. So all I did here is tell my agent to fill out the conversation ID, and he will fill out the phone number, which we can then use to send the WhatsApp to. So that's what it would do, right? And WhatsApp message to send to customer, right? And then we have the API step where we actually use make.com to send it over. Now you do actually have a module here too in Relevance AI to send. You can see you can send a follow-up message, which in this case is the case, right? Because we're responding to a customer who reached out, right? Or we can also do the template message. Now I'm doing it in Make because it's a lot easier. Like you can see here with the template message, we actually have to work with the JSON object, etc. It's a lot more difficult. And with the follow-up message, the problem is it's stuck, right? It will send a message, but it will get stuck in here. It's just a bug from Relevance AI. So that's why I use make.com. And also the reason is because we can actually send voice messages back, which is pretty incredible to the user, right? So let me show you very quickly how this works, right? So WhatsApp, right? Probably I have a few, as you can see. Let me check if it's this one. Just by the webhook, we can check it. So it ends with MKT5. Yeah, this is it, right? So basically all it does here, it receives that data, the message and the phone number, and then it'll send it, right? So we have the send a message module here, not to confuse with the send a template message, because here we're actually just responding. So we don't need to work with the template message. So you can see in the send a message tool, we just connect our phone number, right? And then we pass in the phone, which is basically the conversation idea, which our agent filled out, right? And of course, message type text in this case, and message, right? So I'll show you again, quick example. Hi there, right? And my phone number. You can see it's ended now, and it's in the message, right? So that's how it works. And we can actually also do audio. I can show you very quickly. It's pretty cool. So for example, we put in first an 11 labs, right? Where I already cloned my voice. I can take any voice you want, right? From there, right? Create a speech synthesis, right? Then I can choose my own voice, which I already trained. I think this one, right? And we pass in the message, the text. Right, and then we actually, instead of the text here, we select voice, right? So we go audio. We need one more module here, which is the upload a media. Right, I already selected the 11 labs. One, the sender ID, we're gonna choose. Right, and then we're gonna pass in here the media ID from the previous model. We have to click OK here. Now the media ID will appear, not yet. Click here, OK. Now it appears, right? And so like this, we can actually send voice messages back. So let me again show you a quick example. So let's say something like, hi there, my name is Ben. How are you today? Right, accepted. Right, now you can see it's in the voice message. Now I don't think you're gonna be able to hear this. No, but it's in my voice, basically that message, which is pretty incredible. So that's it. Again, right, all the templates will be available in my community. If you got any value out of this, I highly appreciate a like, a comment, and subscribe. It took me a while to film this video. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I know there's a lot of information. It's not the ideal setup yet, of course, because we're still sort of juggling between these two platforms. But in my opinion, it is the best setup we have right now to sort of have the complete solution, right? Where we can interpret all these types of medias. We have the actual front end here in Relevance AI. We have the human handoff feature. We can send voice messages. We can receive voice messages. So that's it. I've done the hard work here for you, so I hope it helps. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Hope to see you in the next one.